Okay, so good morning, students. Today we are going to talk about the last type of resource or natural resource, as you can call it, and its name is land resources. So this particular land resource is a sum up of what all we have read with respect to biogeographical zones, forest resource, and your food, even in your food resources, what we have studied. So this particular resource is the sum up of everything because it's land. So one can expect that we are talking about everything that is present on land, and we are going to focus on the major parameters. So the today's lecture is divided into two presentations. The first one is the notes that I have prepared from the textbooks, and the second one is your presentation that I have prepared from what all statistical data that I have found on the internet to add to all the knowledge that is there in your textbook. Okay, so as your syllabus says, we have to go through the notes that are prepared because it's a part of your lecture. So let's just talk about land resources. Okay. So I've shared the notes with you on your screen. So let's just scroll through this PDF and we'll get an idea that we are talking about everything that we have read in the last classes. So when we talk about land resources, it's the most important natural resource. I think students are still entering in, so I'll just scroll through before starting my lecture. So let's just go through the slide. So the first one is your introduction. Okay. So when we talk about introduction in terms of land, then we say that it's an most important natural resource. About 1/5 of Earth's surface covers approximately 393 million hectares of land. Okay, baki rest of it is water that we all know. And it supports natural vegetation, human life, economic activities, transport, and communication. Okay. The next point is when we talk about India as a mainland, then the Indian map can be divided into four major zones. You can call them as geographical areas or zones. Because agar aap, in four zones, mein, first is northern mountains, second is Great Plains, third one is Deccan Peninsula, and the fourth one is coastal plains. So when we detail these all these four zones more, then we are able to figure out कि 10 और जो रेस्ट ऑफ बायोजियोग्राफिकल जोन्स हैं वो एग्जिस्ट करते हैं. ठीक है, जैसे कि अगर आप प्लेन्स के बारे में बात करेंगे, then you will if you want to exaggerate it more, then you will look into desert region, in semi-arid region. That is what we have studied in the previous classes. So we will scroll through only the four major zones. So first one is your northern mountains, then Great Plains, Deccan Peninsula, and coastal plains and islands. Okay, so let me take you through the slide. We'll study about them. Let all the students join in. We have this Deccan Peninsula. We'll read about कहाँ से कहाँ तक extend होता है. Then we'll look into our country's statistics. Fine. The next thing that we are going to cover is your land utilization. When we talk about land resources, land can be divided into two things: land utilization and the problems related to it. So when we talk about land utilization, we have forest, we have barren lands, we have agricultural land and industrialized or urban land. ठीक है, जिसमें कि हम लोग decide करते हैं. So we'll talk about it. Next is your land degradation. Now, this one particular topic, land degradation, has been covered in your forest resources and also in your food resources. But because we are talking about land, so we have to, revise that or we have to read that again. Okay, so when we talk about land degradation, then there are various factors related to it: deforestation, over cultivation of vegetation, overgrazing, faulty agricultural practices, and shifting cultivation, which we have already read. But we'll look into the detail and the statistics here. Okay. So when we talk about faulty cultivation, we are talking about Nilgiris. So where are Nilgiris found? They are found in your Western Ghats. So land has been open for cultivation for tuber crops like potato and ginger without undertaking any anti-soil methods. So we'll talk about it. Okay, then we have shifting cultivation, overgrazing. Then there is another problem, and that is diversion of natural drainage channels by railway embankments and roads. So basically, we see a lot of development going on in terms of railways and roads and highways. But these are, if you look at it from any ecologist or environmentalist point of view, then these are basically hampering natural drainage and disturbing the biodiversity as well as causing land degradation, because जहाँ पे भी roads या highways construction होता है, there is always felling of trees. Okay, and the land is clear, the grass is clear, the grass that was able to uphold the soil, the topsoil, that is removed before any road or any highway is laid. So from an ecologist or environmentalist point of view, all these things are leading to your land degradation. Although it's development, but on the other side, it has its own disadvantages. So this is one of the factor. Then we have lack of proper surface drainage. So this can lead to waterlogging. Then denuding or strip removal of cover. Okay, forest fires remove forest covers leading to soil erosion. So we are going to talk about it. Then we have loss of fertility by mismanagement. So soil fertility एक तो हो गया land degradation because of human activities या फिर forest fires. एक दूसरा इसका जो एस्पेक्ट है वो ये है कि जो अनसाइंटिफिक क्रॉपिंग प्रैक्टिसेस हैं, इम्बैलेंसिंग ऑफ न्यूट्रिएंट्स, लॉस ऑफ ऑर्गेनिक मैटर, ये भी आपका पार्टिसिपेट करता है लैंड रिसोर्स को डिग्रेड करने में. सो वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट इट. Then we have soil pollution, salinity, alkalinity, and there is one another factor which is acidity. Okay, so acid soils have low pH values, low base saturation, and high amounts of exchangeable hydrogen and aluminium for leaching. ठीक है. So ये कहाँ पे किन states में ये problem अकर करती है? We're going to deal with that. Next is your floods, droughts, and desertification. Although we have talked about floods, drought, and desertification, but we are going to take it in a bit more detail. Okay. Then we have waterlogging, its statistics, because last time we did not talk about its statistics. So today we are going to do that. Then degradation of soil structure, and texture. What are the reasons? Landslides. So India sees a lot of landslides during monsoon season. So the affected states or uska kya statistics hai, that we are going to talk about. Then man as an agent of change. Okay, so man, eventually there are natural factors also, but human activities are also responsible for this particular degradation of land. So we're going to talk about it. So this was your first slide. Now let me show you the second slide. So when we were talking about land resources, we covered your, I've shared the notes with you. We have covered your water logging, we have covered your salinity. Okay, so क्या reasons होते हैं और क्यों problematic होता है? So when we talk about water logging, तो the basic concept that we learned was कि porosity of soil is important for nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen and oxygen ka transport. Okay, so if those pores are closed, then the roots are not able to take up these gases, and the normal functioning of a plant is not performed well. So उसके consequences ये होते हैं कि roots start to decay, और जो plant है it starts to wilt. So wilting means मुरझा जाना. Okay, so that is what we see in water logging. This particular image clearly shows that. Okay, so then we are talking about land resources. So India के land resources में we were talking about your 4 zones. So basically the first was your northern zone, mountain zone. Then there was Great Indian Plains. So we have talked about in our notes, we have talked about Ajanta Range, Maikal Range. So please recognize it here. Ajanta Range is here and Maikal Range is here. So basically Vindhyas are on this side. So when we talk about the zones, the geographical zones, then these three ranges, this Ajanta range, Maikal range, and Vindhyas and Aravalis. So these are the three ranges, four ranges which separate the Indo-Gangetic plain. I repeat, these, please recognize it from the screen. Ajanta range, Maikal range, Vindhyas and Aravallis. Okay, so Satpuras also. So basically these are the ranges. ये middle में जितनी hills हैं, they separate your Indo-Gangetic plain from your Deccan Plateau. जो हमारा ये वाला region है, जो southern India region है, which was also called as Deccan Plateau, and it's still called as Deccan Plateau. So ये ranges इसको separate करती हैं. So we'll come to it, but I'm just scrolling through the slide. So when we talk about utilization of land, then we have barren land, fallow land. The next image shows you the types of soil, because we are talking about land resources. So we are talking about this types of soil, the roots that can be seen in the soil in terms of the type of plants. So when, let's just have a look here. So when we talk about a grassland, see the roots of the plants. They are basically small and the water resources are easily available because the soil is rich in humus and organic matter. Okay. But when we talk about a desert soil, so this, can you see the roots? The roots of this tall plant, they reach deep into the soil in order to absorb water, because water is not superficially available in your desert soils. Soil moisture बहुत कम होता है desert soil में. So you can just have a look at at the roots, and one can understand the difference between the soil and soil moisture content. Tropical region may just have a look at the roots. Tropical rainforest, because they have a lot of moisture regularly available, because due to regular rainfall, like we are talking about Amazon forest, we are talking about the forests in the northeastern region. तो वहाँ के roots in comparison to desert, they are different. So ये सारे जो aspects हैं, they come together and are known as biodiversity. Abiotic factor, when we talk about soil is a abiotic factor, because abiotic means non-living. Soil pH, we have used the term here alkaline. Okay, thick alkaline. Then we have the term here acidic bhi hoga. See, tropical region में acidic है. So all these factors, pH, soil, rain, we have read that they are abiotic factors. So abiotic factors as well as can directly affect your biotic factors. So you can have a look at this image. Then we have land not available for cultivation in India. So this particular map has been taken from internet sources. I'll add the source. So this particular map clearly gives you a statistics कि यहाँ पे इंडिया में कितना % of land is turned into wasteland or is a wasteland. So when we talk about Uttar Pradesh, then it's 4.54. Okay. But when we talk about Jammu and Kashmir, it's 72.25%. Okay. So this way we can have a look at the graph and the statistics. कि कितना land degradation है. The next image is usage of land in India. So in 1960-61 survey and 2014 and 15 survey, there is a difference in percentage. So when the forest cover has reduced, the urbanized land has increased. Okay, so we'll talk about it. Then India supports 18% of world's population with only 2.54% of world's land area. So this particular data, India supports 18% of world's population with only 2.4% of world's land area. This particular data shows you the amount of stress that Indian land is facing because of increasing population. Stress on what? Stress on natural resources. Okay, because हम natural resources limit की बात कर रहे हैं. Okay. So causes of degradation. deforestation, overcutting, overgrazing, faulty agricultural practices. We'll read about that. But when we this is an image for landslides. Okay, so when we talk about landslides, must have seen this images very a lot of times in newspapers and all. So this is a statistics related to landslide in India. So when we talk about landslide, then the total number of landslides is 6,970 in 2018. Landslides in 3 states of Western Ghats. See, Western Ghats now we can recognize. Western Ghats lie here in this region, this Mumbai or Maharashtra coastal region. This whole region till Kerala, Karnataka is your Western Ghats. Okay, so इस region में we see a lot of landslides. So basically, uh, the number is here. Okay, 5,000 in Kerala and then 993 in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. So damage in Karnataka in 2019 is 2,798 villages, houses damaged, people killed. So basically, all these factors have a lot of effect on human life. Okay, landslide has got a lot of effect on human life. Now, what is the basic reason for landslide? See, there are two reasons. First is the seismic reason, that is your earthquakes. Okay, so earthquakes triggered landslides एक factor है. दूसरा factor है your rainfall or monsoon trigger. So rainfall triggered landslides have increased drastically in the last few decades, and the reason behind that is uh, unaccounted or unchecked deforestation, because land becomes loose, and whenever the rainfall is there, we observe a lot of landslide. So India's share of construction triggered landslide is 28%, whereas India's share of mining triggered landslide is 12%. So this is quite a high percentage. Okay, and global share is 20%. So India's share of global landslide death is 20%. This is quite large. Okay, so these are the factors when we talk in terms of statistics. So basically, the steps that should be taken is regulate developmental activities, curb cleaning of forests, regulate large scale farming, because large scale farming also does not help holding up the soil. Although it can provide a green cover, preserve the topsoil, but it your strength which your forest land provides to hold the soil is not provided in your farming. Predict, monitor, and conserve using technology. So technology should also be improved in terms of landslide. Okay, so restrict tourism activities. So all these factors, whether it's your hilly states like Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, or your Western Ghats, which have got some scenic beauty and tourist applications also. So all these factors, they come together and cause a natural disaster. So one has to keep a check on that. Now, rainfall induced landslides in India. So when we talk about rainfall induced landslides, then Uttarakhand has highest number. We regularly see whether it's Almora that happened last year, then we have back in 2013, we had Kedarnath incident happening. So all these factors, because of rain, we see a lot of landslides. So this is a statistics. Uttarakhand has the highest, whereas you can say 1% is seen in your Manipur. So you can go through the statistics. Now, from where are we deriving all this data? The question comes like, ये सारा data, rainfall का data, या फिर land degradation कितना है, survey. So ISRO has designed a portal for analyzing your country's land resources. So I'll share the link with you once I cover the notes, and we go through them. Go through this particular slide. It's interesting. So let me just stop this particular slide. Go back to the notes and we'll come back here. So we were talking about land resources. So like I said, 1/5 of the Earth's surface is land, and it supports your transport, every activity that is happening in terms of biotic factors, in terms of flora and fauna, is because of your land resources. So natural vegetation, human life, economic activities, transport and communication system. All these factors are supported by your land resources. Exceeding population is a great threat to land resources. Therefore, a lot of planning should be done to use the resource efficiently. Now, when we talked about India's biogeographical zones, then we said there are 4 zones. So the states covered are Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Northwest Uttar Pradesh, and all of Northeast states. So Himalayas are the, ये point important है, I just mark it here, are the world's largest and biggest barrier range. Okay, so one should know this. So Himalayas contain cold, arid desert and fertile valleys. So when we talk about cold, arid desert, then we have Leh Ladakh region because we were talking about semi-arid and arid region. But when we talk about fertile valleys, then we are talking about the grasslands in or also known as alpine meadows. When you scroll through the previous notes, you will find out what I am talking. ठीक है, ये फर्टाइल वैलीज जो है ये अल्पाइन मेडोज हैं, ग्रासलैंड्स हैं ह्यूमन हिमालयन रीजन में. Okay, when we talk about Great Plains, so Great Plains is the basin of Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra. So Indo-Gangetic Plain is formed by the basin of 3 rivers Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra. So plains extend from Rajasthan in west to Brahmaputra Valley in east. It covers the state Punjab, Haryana, Union Territory of Chandigarh, Delhi, and major parts of UP, Bihar, West Bengal, and Assam. Now, the other factor is this plains comprises of biggest stretch of flat alluvium soil. Now, this is important. ठीक है, so ये एक factor है जो कि important है. The kind of soil that is found in this particular Indo-Gangetic plain is your alluvium soil. Now the next is your Deccan Peninsula. So when we talk about Deccan Peninsula, we are talking about the southern India. So this zone covers the South India, which includes states like Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and Kerala. So this region also covers the state of Madhya Pradesh and parts of Orissa, Bihar, Purulia district of West Bengal. So the population density is given here. Now this is important again. So basically ये सारे फैक्टर्स जो हैं स्टेट्स कौन सा है कौन से पार्ट्स कवर कर रहे हैं दैट इज इम्पोर्टेंट बट देयर इज वन इम्पोर्टेंट फैक्टर इन दिस एंड दैट इज what separates Indo-Gangetic plain from your peninsular plateau. So the ranges are Aravalli, Vindhya, Satpura, Ajanta and Mekhala. I had just shown you in the map. So central India में जो भी hill ranges हैं they separate Indo-Gangetic plain from your Deccan Peninsula, and they also all these ranges also have a lot of quite significant role in rainfall also. Like how and where the monsoon is diverted, all these ranges have a role. तो rainfall कैसे कहाँ पे कितनी हो रही है, these ranges they decide a lot. So ये 4-5 ranges हैं which separate your Indo-Gangetic plain from your Deccan Peninsula. So South India or North India, if you can say. So these are the ranges which are there and separate Indo-Gangetic plain from Deccan Peninsula. Now the next is your coastal plains. So we know coastal plains means Eastern Ghats and your Western Ghats. So Western coastline is between Arabian Sea and Western Ghats. So Eastern coastline faces the Bay of Bengal on the east. So region has a very high population density. This is the population density. When we talk about area, now this is the area of your country, 329 million hectares. Okay, so this is one thing that one can remember. 329 million hectares is the area of your country, which is 2.4% of the world's total area. Okay. Next is utilization of land. So when we talk about utilization, we have forests, the first one. Then we have urbanized land. Area under non-agricultural usage is used for buildings, roads, railways, housing, recreational purposes, industrial sites, and irrigation system. When we talk about barren lands, जो lying near desert region of Rajasthan, saline land is seen in the run of Kutch here, okay, and are not useful for agriculture. Permanent pastures and grazing lands are there, and then the next one is your fallow land. Okay, farmlands, like I've already told you in shifting cultivation, these are the farmlands which has no crops for a year. So उसका consequence क्या है कि they do not have sufficient nutrients for an year to 5 years. Now this for an year to 5 year का मतलब ये है कि it depends upon the soil कि how much time it takes to rejuvenate its nutrients. Okay, but fallow land means that once you have harvested your crop, you have left that land just like that. Okay, no further crop is grown on that particular area. When we talk about crop areas, then it covers all the agricultural land in our country. The next point that we are going to cover is the land degradation. So over exploitation of resources due to overpopulation. This is the reason. Okay, over exploitation of resources due to overpopulation and development activities have caused the land to degrade. Okay, so at present 130 million hectare of degraded land is there in India. See, 329 is the total area, and out of that, 130 is your degraded area. So that is quite a large amount. Okay, so this out of which 28% belongs to the category of forests, and 56% of its area is for because of the water. So I shared the deforestation map with you. So if you can just zoom it and look at it, then you will see जो कल आप लोगों के साथ मैंने डिफॉरेस्टेशन वाला डेजर्टिफिकेशन वाला मैप शेयर किया था स्टूडेंट्स हाउ यू हैव टू लुक एट इट इज सी द चेंज इन कलर इंटेंसिटी जिस एरिया में जितना ज्यादा कलर होगा दैट शोज कि कितना डिग्रेडेशन बढ़ गया है in comparison to the previous one. I hope you could open up the sticky notes. So but just by looking at it, जहाँ पे कलर डेंसिटी ज्यादा है वहाँ पे डिग्रेडेशन ज्यादा है. So you can, for your interest, you can just have a look at it. ठीक है. Causes of degradation: deforestation, overcutting of vegetation, overgrazing, agricultural activities, faulty practices. So we'll go to faulty practices. So faulty cultivation practices, an example given is here is Nilgiris. So the land has been opened for cultivation for tuber crops like potato and ginger without undertaking anti-soil erosion methods like tracing of slopes. Okay. So forest slopes have been cleared for plantation of crop without, which is causing soil erosion. So faulty agricultural practices, and Nilgiris are in your Western Ghats region. When we talk about shifting cultivation, like it said, it's largely used in northeastern states and in Madhya Pradesh and Andhra Pradesh also. So these are the examples. Shifting cultivation means it's ecologically destructive and uneconomic method of cultivation. Okay, so vast areas have suffered soil erosion in the hill areas of northeast because of shifting cultivation. Okay, so this is one point. So when we talk about overgrazing, so overgrazing means surplus livestock is a big strain on grassland and fodder. Movement of cattle on land hardens the soil. This is also one of the reasons. Movement of cattle on land hardens the soil and prevents new shoots to open up. Observed in certain stretches of Aravalli in Punjab and Himachal hills, goats approved just there was one example I found. So basically goats approved the plants whereas sheep only nibble the top leaves. So this is the difference. So grazing also not only hardens the soil and crushes or prevents the new shoots of small plants to open up and causes deforestation in the degradation of soil in a long run because of soil erosion. Okay, diversion of natural drainage by railway embankments and roads. So when, like I told you, that whenever you have to, kind of go in for developmental activities like development of roads and railways are built in such a way that they are higher elevated than surroundings. Okay, so here. So when we talk about higher or elevated, so if you had seen construction of a highway, so you must have also observed that before the construction processes, they elevate the land. In most cases, if you have seen in Delhi NCR region also, then you must have seen that if there is there is an expressway that is getting constructed, a lot of expressways are getting constructed in this area NCR region. So they elevate the land. Now this causes water logging on one side and soil erosion on the other side by stopping natural drainage channel. This is important. Okay. So the roads, railway tracks are built in such a way that they are higher elevated than surrounding, causing water logging to on one side and soil erosion on the other side by stopping natural drainage. So अगर एक barrier एक elevated highway अगर वहाँ पे नहीं होता, land was in a natural level, so rainwater or any kind of water would have drained the total area. But because you have created a barrier, you have created a railway or road embankment, this causes water logging on one side and soil erosion on the other side, stopping natural drainage channels. So this is one of the reasons of land degradation. Okay, lack of proper surface drainage. Because of lack of proper surface drainage, water logging occurs in the low-lying areas, which loosens up the topsoil, making it prone to erosion. So this is also one of the reasons. In the desertification map, there was a I'll show you that map. So this particular points come from there. So water, let's just say there was a rainfall on the land. Okay, water logging over, but there will be a point when the water will evaporate. Okay, so this particular low-lying area, when the water evaporates, it will loosen up the topsoil, making it more prone to erosion. So whenever the land dries up, the area under that water logging might end up in losing its nutrients by erosion. Now, denuding or removing strip removal of cover. So, forest fires and deforestation for construction activities. Now, this also causes land degradation. So, ये सारे factors, diversion of natural drainage, overgrazing, shifting cultivation, faulty cultivation methods, deforestation, ये activities से related methods. And now we are going to talk about the scientific, unscientific practices. So when we talk about unscientific cropping practices, use of fertilizers, etc., has led to degradation of natural soil. Okay, loss of natural nutrients, imbalancing of nutrients. Use of chemical fertilizers has harmed long-term fertility of soil and caused water pollution. This is one of the reasons. Then loss of organic matter. Loss of organic matter may affect the soil indirectly, buffering effect on nutrient ions concentration and complexing potentially toxic ions. So basically, whenever you add fertilizers, whenever you add pesticides, then there is a loss of all or loss of soil's natural property to rejuvenate its nutrients. You are basically disturbing the cycle because if you are adding pesticides and if you are adding fertilizers, then the pH, then the amount of nutrients is getting disturbed. So जो एक soil की natural stabilizing effect था, it gets disturbed because in the process a lot of although the weeds, although the fungus, the bacteria are not useful for your crop, but they were useful for biodiversity. So they get disturbed if you add chemicals and if you add pesticides. So that also degrades land in a long run. Okay, so we were talking about your effects of your pollutants, your fertilizers on a soil. So not only they affect your soil fertility in a long run. So basically, you can harvest a good crop at one time or maybe 4 or 5 times. But जो एक किसी भी particular resource की एक natural ability to rejuvenate or recharge है, that is disturbed because you are interfering with the biodiversity. Okay, so these are the factors. So soil pollution may we read about salinity. So salinity happens whenever there is over irrigation or high rainfall. So the moisture percolates down during the dry weather, the same water and dissolved salt rises up to the surface again. So जब हम salinity की बात कर रहे थे, तो salinity is largely seen in two areas. Okay, so first is your over irrigation. Like आपने कहीं पे बहुत ज़्यादा पानी किसी फील्ड में दे दिया. दूसरा है heavy rainfall. So when we talk about heavy rainfall, दोनों ही cases में what is going to happen? The water is going to or the soil is going to get saturated with water. ठीक है? Because you have irrigated the land, highly irrigated the land, or there is high rainfall. But during the dry weather, this is where the important line comes. During the dry weather, the same water plus the dissolved salts, because soil has salts. We know that. Okay, so the same water plus the dissolved salts rises up to the surface. Okay, the water evaporates, leaving behind a layer of salt on the surface that we saw in your salinity image yesterday. So basically, salinity में ये होता है. Areas that are getting affected is your Punjab, Haryana, UP, Western Maharashtra, Bihar. So the area that is affected is your 7 million hectares is getting affected by your salinity. Now there is other reason, which is your alkaline acid. So soil degradation of soil, including toxicity of certain metallic ions for normal crop growth. So chemical degradation of soil, including toxicity of certain metallic ions for normal crop growth. Acid soils have low pH values, low base saturation, and high amount of exchangeable hydrogen and aluminium for leaching. So ये भी एक फैक्टर है जो कि आपके जो सॉइल है उसको डिग्रेड करता है. तो कहीं से इंडस्ट्रियल एफ्लुएंट्स की वजह से या फिर बिकॉज ऑफ एसिड रेन एक्सचेंजेबल हाइड्रोजन इज देयर या फिर सॉइल का पीएच चेंज हो गया है, दिस आल्सो अफेक्ट्स योर लैंड एरिया. So where is it observed? It's observed in your Himalayan belt, northeastern region and western Ghats. Okay. So 26 million hectare of land is acid soil, has a pH less than 5.5, and 23 million hectare has a pH between 5.5 to 6. Because we are talking about statistics, so this is the reason. So acid sulfate soils of Kerala have more polysulfides in the form of pyrites, free sulfuric acid, and sulfates of iron and aluminum. This is also one important. क्या क्या compounds मिलते हैं? So basically taking an example of Kerala, so acid sulfate soils of Kerala has pyrites, free sulfuric acid, and sulfates of iron and aluminum. Floods, droughts, and desertification. So floods, drought और desertification का concept we have already read कि floods का reason क्या होता है because of disturbed natural proper drainage, heavy rainfall, and when there is flooding, then the factors that affect are your basically जो diseases हैं, they are there, जो crops हैं, even they get damaged, and human resources also disturbed. So we have already read about floods, desert and drought. So when we talk about desert and drought, so desert and drought is basically low soil moisture and rainfall. Okay, so when there is desertification and drought situation, then there is a damage to crops. Okay, so basically this is what is happening here. Okay, so desertification means formation and expansion of degraded areas of soil and vegetation covering arid, semi-arid, and seasonally dry areas caused by climatic variation and human activities. So seen in Thar Desert in Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, Aravallis. So this is all about your degradation. Waterlogging we have studied. So accumulation of water due to saturation of soil within the depths of root zone. The image that I showed you yesterday. For a period that affects the yield and quality of crops. So what decides that there is waterlogging and effect on crops? So basically, kitne time ke liye it's decided by the fact that how the yield and the quality of crop is getting affected. Okay, so this is one factor. In terms of statistics, we have 6 million hectares of land is getting affected by waterlogging in 17 states. So जहाँ पे भी मानसून सीजन में रेनफॉल बहुत ज़्यादा होता है, फ्लडिंग हो जाती है, वहाँ पे you see side effects or disadvantages of waterlogging. Okay. So according to Central Groundwater Board, 36.36 million hectare of land is waterlogged during monsoon period, and this is also the period जहाँ पे कि there is a lot of damage seen in crops. Okay, जो agricultural land है that is getting disturbed. Degradation of soil texture observed at the place where heavy machinery is used to cultivate soil, then the problem is largely seen in soil of intermediate texture and low organic matter, loss of stability of surface aggregates leading to compaction and crusting, poor water infiltration and soil erosion. Lack of organic matter is a critical reason along with fine silt and what soil sealing. Degradation of soil texture. So basically, soil texture is also important. Good soil texture is also important for a good crop. Okay. So if you are using heavy machinery, then there is a loss of there is a thing that is seen as compaction and crusting. Compaction means getting compact. Okay. So basically, if the land or if the soil is getting compact, then the porosity is getting less. Okay. And the next is crusting. So crusting is you can take an example of crusting, uh, which you see on the river beds. Whenever the land dries up, so वहाँ पे crusts are visible. I'll put up that photograph when I give you those notes. बट जब भी आप हैवी मशीनरी यूज करते हो या फिर इस टाइप की फॉल्टी प्रैक्टिसेस करते हो तो व्हाट यू सी इज कंपैक्शन एंड क्रस्टिंग and this particular crusting change in soil texture leads to poor water infiltration and soil erosion. So when the soil will not have water, then it is tend to get eroded. Landslides. So I showed you an image for landslide. So they are seen largely. They are hydrogeological hazards affecting Himalayas, northeastern hill regions, western Ghats, Nilgiris, etc. Okay, so this, sorry. Fine. So when we talk about Darjeeling floods in 1968 destroyed, causing considerable death and destruction, these landslides occur over a period of a 3 day with a rainfall ranging from 500 to 1000 mm in an event of 100 years return period. ठीक है, ये landslides usually recurring भी हैं, as in the case of Darjeeling. So 60-kilometer mountain highway got cut off at 92 places, resulting in loss of life. So this happened in your Darjeeling floods in 1968. So basically, a lot of rainfall was seen, 500 to 1000 mm, in a 3 day period, which led to landslide at 92 places in a 60-kilometer mountain range, and that led to loss of life. Then Alaknanda tragedy in 1970, and then Kedarnath tragedy in 2013. All these are the examples of landslides. Okay, so man as an agent of change. So man is responsible for change in Himalayas. The real chaos started due to increase in settlement or humans on the slopes. Cutting of trees for fuel, fodder, overgrazing increased domestic and industrial consumption of timber responsible for deforestation. So basically, man is indirectly or indirectly degrading the earth or misusing your natural resources. So, in order to save this particular planet, it's man who has to take up steps. Okay, the human beings are responsible So they need to consciously take steps. So I'll close this particular slide here. I'll share the notes with you. Let's go to the another slide. Okay. So this was water logging, right? Salinity, then water logging, then here. So this was this particular image, like I showed you. Like I told you, Indo-Gangetic Plain or Deccan Plateau is getting divided by these ranges here: Ajanta, Maikal, Vindhya, Satpura, Aravali range. So these are the ranges here that I told you. Then utilization of land, fallow land, we have covered the types of land, the types of soil and the types of vegetation. So forest litter and here negligible because organic matter is decomposed and quickly recycled. So this, can you just see, have a look at the tropical rainforest here and forest litter in the temperate deciduous forest. You can see that, recognize it even in the forest by the type of leaves that it's having. So temperate deciduous forest has your leaves that change color with the climate, whereas tropical is evergreen. There is a difference in roots also. Okay, so basically clay soil, mineral soil. So you can have a look at these images to understand how the soil properties, water and moisture content affect the type of plant growing on it, as well as the roots that it has. Okay, so land degradation may we have talked about over exploitation of resources. Then we covered the statistics. So usage of land in India 1916 में कितना था? Forest area 46.26% and 2014-15 में it was 45.5%. So all we see at the land area, then we realize that okay, it's like a large chunk of land that is getting deforested. Okay, or that is used in a different way. So one has to look at it in that way. The causes of land degradation, landslides, the deaths due to land, we have talked about it. The reasons are largely human activities, tourism, and construction activities. Then there is a graph which shows you that Uttarakhand has the highest, whereas Manipur has the least. And then Western sees a lot of rainfall induced landslides. Now there is one. I'm sharing this link with you. I'll copy the links in your chat box so that everyone can see. This is an interesting link. Just open it up. I'll open it up at my end. You can open it up at your end. Okay. So can सभी को दिख रहा है ये? आप लोग मुझे बताओ. आशिमा, अनुष्का, आस्था, अभिनव.
Yes, ma'am, visible.
Visible. Okay, so this one particular geo portal has been designed by ISRO, that is your Indian Space Research Organization. So there is one option like search. You can see. So इसमें से कोई भी पैरामीटर एक चूज कर लो, like land use. Can you see the search option? Okay, so search option में.
Ma'am, the PPT is visible.
Hello.
Ma'am, the PPT is getting shared.
Okay, I have to stop. Let me see if Mozilla can be shared. Yeah, okay. That's there. Can you see it now? अभी दिख रहा है screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
तो ये सर्च ऑप्शन दिख रहा है. इसमें जितने भी मैप्स अभी लास्ट के 2-3 लेक्चर्स में दिखाए थे, सो व्हाट इज द what is the source of information in our country for that? The source of information is this one particular portal. So you can see in search option there are a lot of sub options like land use coverage. First of all, what is this 50K? 50K is the scale. See, just have a look at it. Scale 1 is to 50,000, and the scale here is, this is your the scale given here. Okay, कितने scale से आप मतलब की image ले रहे हैं, that is given here. So when we say it's 1 is to 50K, that means 1 is to 50,000. When we say 1 is to 250K, then it's 250,000. Okay, so that is how you see it. So just take an option. Let me see if I have taken this land use cover, or let's just say लैंड डिग्रेडेशन देखते हैं 2016 का. ठीक है, लैंड डिग्रेडेशन 50K 2015-16. so let's just say Delhi. Okay, so this is how you can see salinization or alkalization. So this pinkish image. So if I zoom it down, then you can see the changes. There are other factors also. Urban land use, this is also one thing. So basically, I just wanted to give you a brief idea कि यहाँ पे you can see how our country is using the land. Okay, just find out in the options your own state and look for the changes. You will get it. Can you see this image now? ये दिख रहा है? Okay, so this is a portal which has been developed. So different colors हैं, और according to the colors it has been marked कि build up urban area कितना है, forest region कितना है, deciduous forest कहाँ पे है. ठीक है, कहीं पे डेसिडस प्लांटेशन अवेलेबल, मतलब फॉरेस्ट या प्लांट्स की ग्रोथ है, ग्रास ग्रेजिंग या ग्रास लैंड कहाँ पे है. सो दिस इज हाउ basically all these land resources are mapped. So this is one portal. We can go its home page also. Yeah, I'll share the other page. Are you able to see the home page?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is also one home page. You can have a look at it. See, you are like, अगर interesting कोई topic आपको पढ़ना है apart from your regular syllabus, then there are various factors. So the Bhuvan 2D, Bhuvan 3D, then agriculture, forestry, ठीक है, पंजाब फॉरेस्ट, त्रिपुरा फॉरेस्ट, कर्नाटका, e-governance, water, ठीक है, tourism, ये सारे बहुत सारे factors हैं about our own country. So you can just have a look and explore. ठीक है, hydrological products, different irrigations, ठीक है, pest surveillance, ये different parameters हैं which you can go and have a look at it. Climate and environment. So just have a look at it. Have a look about, have some information about your own country. अगर इस टॉपिक से यूनिट 2 से रिलेटेड किसी को डाउट है, तो they can come back to me with the screenshot or any query. Okay. As of now, I'll end the class today, and tomorrow we will start with a new topic. Let's see when we'll start with the unit 3, but we'll take up a new topic. Okay. So have a good day, and I'm ending the class.